It's unfortunately pretty obvious that Steam has the monopoly as one of the best digital distribution platforms, and when a company holds a monopoly like this, it really does cause a lot of problems for creators, especially if your game gets removed or banned from the platform, and that is unfortunately what has happened in this situation. Malicious was a game that has gotten banned on Steam since they really started their crusade against anime and visual novel games, and for the studio that had created it, it really brought them down and has ruined a lot of their motivation towards the project and also future projects regarding the franchise. They had talked quite a bit on Twitter about a plotline for the sequel to the game, a project that they decided they wouldn't actually create after having such a difficult time with the first game and the situation that they had had with Steam. Now, this was a game that was removed from the platform because of Steam saying that it exploited children. And of course, Valve hasn't really talked about why, and there's not a solid reason why, because anything that they consider exploiting children gets the ban hammer lately. Because as Steam previously said, they decide what goes on the platform and what doesn't. What they consider to be the law is the law. And usually this whole child issue comes into play when, age and characters are questionable, and they look on the younger side, and of course developers can say the characters are adults and that they are not children, but Steam has been really picky with, of course, and doesn't usually care what creators actually have to say. It's just what they see and what they consider to be questionable or not. They've got no other criteria besides personal choices on it. And I'm okay with Steam following the whole non-child exploitative games due to various laws, because ultimately laws come before anything else and when it comes to these situations, but they have no criteria besides what the employee reviewing it really thinks. It's hard to set a criteria for this type of problem though, maybe running it through multiple employees, not just one, being very careful of the characters and the settings in the game. I'm not sure, but it's really difficult, which is why in this particular case I see it being such a problem for Steam and why so many games it has been a problem to actually get on the platform itself. And I'm sort of conflicted with this, because I honestly am really sad to hear that a studio is going to give up on a project that they already had plans to create. But why I feel conflicted is because ultimately Steam is not the only place to sell games like these. It's not. There are other platforms as well, as you can also create your own website and sell it there individually, which the problem with this is, and I know it, is that for studios that are smaller and they don't have the largest back audience for a game, it takes away from the discoverability aspect of the game. I know myself, I scroll through Steam sometimes upwards of even an hour on occasions to see new releases or highly rated games. I look up reviews, and if it's not there, you'd have to be specifically searching for the game to know it actually exists, or you'd have to look somewhere like Reddit where people would have to point it towards you, because there's so many games out there. Not everyone is advertising their games the way that they could be, especially games like these, which are a niche audience. I do understand that, the niche audience that is interested in it, it's not a majority of gamers that is interested in this type of game. Do you guys get why I'm so conflicted? Are you picking up what I'm putting down here? Unfortunately, there's not a whole lot to say on this. I am really, really sad to hear that they are discontinuing this series and this project. I personally hadn't played their first game, but I know I have been pointed a lot towards this in the past couple of days, and it's really sad to hear, a company and developers just give up on what they want to create. Ultimately, like I said, I know on one side, the business aspect, it could be a large sink of money if you don't already have a large back audience, but at the same time, no one is stopping you. There are alternate platforms to sell your games on, but unfortunately, this is Steam's doing, and if their game was allowed to be able to be sold on Steam, this wouldn't have happened. I do hope that in really, really soon in the future that Steam does get their shit together. Unfortunately, we won't know until we see it, but I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Of course, if you did, make sure to give it a like, and of course, if you didn't, make sure to give it a dislike. I appreciate your support. Either which way, it all counts in my mind, but I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Unfortunately, a very sad story, but I'll talk to you guys again really soon.